Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. It's a Saturday morning and I'm here with one of my friends where we designed a solution for his house. I built in some redundancies and I will be taking you through the house, showing you what we did, what we struggled with, and some of the quirks that we still need to sort out. Okay, let's start outside with some of the stuff that we still need to finalize. We implemented some of the solutions, and at this stage we can only use the notifications until we actually have electricity up to the Wendy house. So this is the Wendy house. So what we did here is with the door we just put in a little contact sensor. At the moment the contact sensor is actually a 2.4. It's not a Zigbee sensor, which means that the batteries will only last about 2 or 3 months. One of the challenges we had was this the installation of the contact switch, because the wood is covered with a oil-based protective layer, which means that the double-sided tape used to stick on these contact sensors will not stick to the wood and they would fall off over time. So what we did is we actually got some metal plates and we put in a metal plate on the door on the outside, and if we go inside you can see we had to put in a little metal plate there too, just so we can stick the contact sensor onto the metal with the double-sided tape, ensuring that it will stay in place. This one we actually activated in December. It is now end of January and it's already in need of battery replacement. So going forward we might replace that one with a Zigbee switch. So the purposes of putting the switch in on the Wendy, as you can see, it is separate from the house. So at the moment we can get notifications when the door opens, when it shouldn't be open, and once we have electricity we can actually use the contact sensor to switch on the light when you open the door. So going inside the house now, we've got small little Sonoff basic switches installed in the roof with these lights. This one would be the study, that one would be the lounge, and then we've got the kitchen right there. What we also did is we installed one of these wall switches. It's also a Sonoff TX3 gang. That one helped us with the outside lights so that we don't have to put in a basic smart switch on the outside where it's exposed to the weather. So moving on, in the house we have some further switches also installed in the roof. This is the main bedroom and that would be the guest bedroom. You can see the types of lights that he's got installed in his house is not necessarily conducive to any other type of installation other than a smart switch or maybe a wall switch. Going through into the bathroom, another basic Sonoff switch in the roof, but we have a little motion sensor installed in the bathroom, basically so you don't have to ask Google to switch on the lights every time you use the bathroom. One of the custom installations that we did was this little Google Mini in the roof. We had to pull in some additional power there, but luckily we've got a friend called Sparky who's an electrician, and he got into the roof and he did all the wiring for us. So this is the Google Mini in the roof. As you can see, it's quite central in the house, and you can actually do a voice command from anywhere in the house with no real issues. The other customization that we had to do was with this wall switch. So initially we had the Sonoff basic switches in the roof for these two lights in the living room, the study light and the living room light, and I had this one spare and I brought it with, and it actually came in very handy. The only customizations we had to do with this one, we had to get Sparky to get into the roof again, and we had to pull out the cable that was originally installed and pull in a 6-cord cable, because this particular switch would need a neutral and a live to operate, as well as a live for each one of the gangs. So this switch basically controls the study, living room and the outside light. This is some of the devices and switches and stuff that we used for Kevin's implementation. So this would be the TX wall switch, the Sonoff. This is the motion sensor that you saw in the bathroom, which we would cover a little test as well, because the routines that we set up for this motion sensor is only to activate the light after sunset. This is the little contact sensor we have in the Wendy, and these are essentially the little Sonoff smart switches that we have installed in the roof all over the house. And there's your little Zigbee bridge that we use for the expansion on all the contact sensors and motion sensors that will come with phase 2. So this is essentially Kevin's internet. This is a little LTE router, which is part of the problem that we still need to solve and part of the upgrades that we still need to do. This, although it's known as a router, it's really only a modem with limited routing capabilities. And if you go read the manufacturer's specifications on this little modem, this modem can only handle up to 12 connections. And with all the devices that we installed in the house at the moment, this little device is giving us some issues. Some of which, when the device loses its LTE connection, it also stops the local traffic, which means that the redundancies that we built in with the Sonoff devices stops working too. Some of the other redundancies that we built in for Kevin is because he's got a LTE modem, which is not really suitable for home automation at this stage, so he still needs to upgrade his router. So what Sonoff gives him at the moment is the ability to still control his devices on LAN. That is except for the Zigbee devices, because the hub still runs on internet, and controlling devices through LAN seems to be a difficult task at the moment. Yeah, so one of the other difficulties we had installing this solution was with the motion sensor initially in the bathroom, where we had some delays. Initially when you walked into the bathroom, there was a delay of about 2.5 minutes, and that doesn't really help when you want to switch on the light automatically while you are in the bathroom. We upgraded the firmware and we upgraded the app, and it seems like some of the latest upgrades that Sonoff released on their firmware solved the problem for us. Initially I thought I would solve the problem by installing Home Assistant, but Home Assistant is not effective at this stage. Although I did give it to Kevin, he's a developer, so he would be able to help himself with Home Assistant, with some of the technical stuff, but I would not recommend this for a run-of-the-mill user that's only getting started with his home automation. Okay, so as you can see, it's not a very complicated solution or a very big implementation, but what we did build in is some of the redundancies we had to look for. And it's because we have a lot of load shedding in South Africa. We had to build in some redundancies for power, which we have some UPSs installed and some battery packs, and we also have a little battery kit for one of the Google Minis. This is testing out the bathroom sensor, the motion sensor in the bathroom. When we initially installed it, we had a delay of up to 10 minutes between the sensor being triggered and the light going on. We implemented some optimizations, and it seems with some of the latest firmware upgrades the problem has been resolved. So let's look at the response time now. Entering the bathroom, the little sensor picking up and the light going on.